Welcome to the Miracles Tribe. I'm Theresa McGallicher, and I'm joined here by my partner, Carly Jed Hardy. And we have a special guest for you today to share her story of how her life has changed since she began working with A Course in Miracles. That's Jill Younglove. Welcome, Jill.
Hi, thank you.
And she's going to tell us about growing up in Illinois Catholic, going to parochial school, and what happened in her life after that. But first, we'll hear a few brief words from Carly.
Thank you, Theresa. And yes, what a treat it is to be with you, Jill, today. We were all lucky enough to be a part of Lisa Natoli's group and get to know one another. And we just were excited to have Jill because we know that you will fall in love with her like we have. So Jill teaches love. It's our experience wherever she goes. A brief bio. Whether she's driving children on the school bus or helping families with their pets, her loving spirit goes with her. She found the Course in Miracles as she studied it, brought her from the realm of fear that she'd been living out of, fearful thoughts, yes, being in fear as she moved through life, to the realm of love, where love and peace abide within her. And I'll say where love and peace can abide within me. And Jill knows, we all do, that this is available to anyone. So yes, welcome, Jill. We're happy to have you. And maybe you can just start by briefly telling us how your life went and when the Course entered into it.
Thank you, Carly and Theresa. It's so wonderful to be able to express this. Hopefully it'll help somebody's story like it's helped mine. There's something about growing up Catholic that I keep hearing repeated, and it was my experience that it wasn't the God that I felt in my heart. And I know that my God was a God of love, and I knew that I was trying to search for that. And I started by doing everything, trying to identify myself by having a family, finding love that way, and they're magnificent. They're all wonderful. I still didn't feel it. I felt there's still something I'm not getting. And I did have a breakdown early in my 20s. It was a stress breakdown. I can look back at that now and see it was just stress. And the hospitalization that I was under was just making it all worse. So I pulled myself out of that. And I did what I had in the 80s and the 90s was Oprah and self-help. And I followed everything I could for 30 years. And I had like brief breakthroughs, but nothing that was helping fill what I felt was missing. And I actually had the Course in Miracles book on my shelf for almost that whole time. But after attempting to do it and getting through about 50 lessons, it went on the shelf and it just collected dust. Well, 3 years ago was when I found a teacher to help me with what those lessons that the Course was calling me to do. And that teacher helped make it all clear. And I've been, I won't say getting better, but uncovering the blocks to love's presence ever since then. That's pretty much my story in a nutshell, and my fear to love story, going from a place of fear to a place of love. And it's still ongoing. I know I'm still now working on new levels that A Course in Miracles is there helping me and holding my hand the whole way.
Thank you, Jill. And I think that you bring up something that is so valuable to so many of us that were raised in religions. And I know Theresa had the same experience, that some of the parts of the religion, like the God that lived in your heart was a God of love, but the God that the religion held didn't seem to match up to that. or the religion would teach certain principles, and then there was a place where it wasn't unconditionally loving, or where it kind of veered off. So I think that that's something a lot of us have experienced. And so maybe you can tell us what changed for you in that realm, when you, what presence do you find in the Course in Miracles? What
Well,
you connect with? A different, did you find?
right away in A Course in Miracles, the feeling I have now, remember the book was always with me. I always had the book, but the lessons, I really feel that came more with help with the guidance from the teacher I had at the time, that she showed me through her unconditional love that we are unconditional love, and I felt that unconditional love. And that was, I think, the changing point, that there's not something to be afraid of. You're not going to be punished. You don't have to prove anything. And even doing something like public speaking right now, which I've always been terribly afraid of, I know with all of the work I've done with A Course in Miracles that there is no wrong. It's all there for us. I guess that was the turning point.
And then
I love that you found. Go ahead.
yeah, and then Jill, we heard a very particular story about you that seemed like a miracle, where everything fell into place without any effort on your part, and we would love for you to share that with our audience.
Sorry, Theresa.
So
Just
you had plans to travel to New York City?
Yes.
And then and how did you get there? What happened?
Yeah, so overcoming fear, one of the prompts that I got when I started studying A Course in Miracles was to try the things that I'm afraid of. And one of those things was traveling by myself. So in order to live a life full of love and happiness, one of the things that I wanted to do was to travel and to meet people and to expand outside of my little comfort zone. And one day with some encouragement, I did that, and I went to New York to do a retreat with Lisa Natoli. And it required me going by myself and overcoming the negative self-talk that kept saying, you know, you're going to get lost, you know, you're going to, all the gloom and doom that comes with that voice. And stepping past that voice was one of the greatest gifts that started me recently to keep stepping beyond that voice, because I know that it is just a voice. It isn't going to keep keeping me in a place where I'm not happy, only if I let it. I did get on a plane, and I sat and I said, Holy Spirit, please help me. And there's a beautiful woman next to me who all of a sudden started talking to me and never left my side. Just got me to the little train thing that I needed to get on, and told the people on that train thing to make sure I got off at the right spot. All I had to do was relax and feel safe and know that I'm protected. And that opened up that world away from that voice. And it continued. I kept, like, I would slip into fear, kind of like what I'm doing now. If I slip into fear, I just say, I'm not going to listen. I'm going to just keep trusting. And as I did keep trusting on that trip, that help kept appearing. It just kept coming up. And I know that I learned to trust that voice by doing my the daily course lessons.
So you got safely to New York City. Had you been there before?
No, I've never traveled. That was my first trip.
Wow. It was your first airplane trip ever?
Yeah, my first
Wow.
airplane trip.
And then where did you stay when you arrived?
Well, we were supposed to stay in a hostel. I knew that there was a group of 6 of us that were in B school together, and we were supposed to stay in this room together. But when we got there, the plans from the hotel's end had gotten kind of messed up. So we were all separated and we had to kind of sleep with strangers. I was in a room with 5 strangers. And when I got there, it was pretty dark and I didn't want to turn the light on. But I knew I had to kind of just climb up under the top bunk with my little bag and go to sleep. Keep trusting the whole way.
And then were you there for a weekend? How long were you there?
Yeah, it was a Friday through a Sunday retreat. And well, the whole procedure, the whole weekend was just me coming back to that place of trust. No matter what came up, what challenges were in front of me for that weekend, whether it was finding a restaurant by myself or sitting with a group of strangers and learning how, just to communicate and be still, my communication skills. My words have always kind of been my fear point. So stepping into that fear point was another one for me, that overcoming that obstacle, a block to love's presence.
And then you made it home safely, I assume?
Yes, there was a few delays, a few reroutings, going to new airports, but again, it was just, how I think the course teaches that you can just rest in each experience and know that you're held. I think that was just hitting me one thing after another, just so I can grasp that whole vibration firmly and know that I am held. If I was going to get it, it was that weekend.
And then how did you feel after you got back home?
I felt like challenges were a good thing now. I felt like because I was so supported in that weekend, I knew that if I go into new challenges with that same open-minded, I will be. So the best part about life now is being supported. Like everything that comes up as a challenge, if I can rest and be supported, that's the golden nugget that I get out of life now. It's not about getting the best house or the best car. It's that relationship with being supported.
Wow, wonderful. So challenges are a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yes, challenges bring just nuggets of new support if I let them. If I get out of my way.
Beautiful. Carly?
Thank you so much, Jill, for sharing that story. I think each of us, each of us needs to know in the midst of the challenge that we can be held, that we will be supported. And I so appreciate what you said, that the book sat on your shelf. I think that was the same with me. It just seemed like dense territory and I needed a guide. I needed a fun guide and someone who held me in unconditional love and could do that in me, modeled that to me for me to get through the courses. And then it's just been so beautiful to know that, again, it's not life being perfect at all. It's us meeting the challenges. And I know that everyone was just amazed that you came with just one small backpack. It became everyone's goal to travel as lightly as Jill did with just one small backpack.
That's a funny story though, because
sorry.
that was just a
Oh no, go ahead.
That was just a funny story because I really wanted to make sure that I didn't have any hang-ups. I knew if I only had that one carry-on bag, I didn't have to do the additional going through luggage and worrying about my luggage going somewhere else. So that was just one of the ways that I was getting myself through the whole situation with a little bit of control, but it did turn out to be something that, you know, was something for everybody, was we can really travel light. We don't need a lot of stuff.
Letting go of
Yes, that is
baggage.
so beautiful. That is really no, not that much baggage. Yep, yep, yep. And that when we simplify, we can simplify our lives, you know, to the things that really are valuable and really matter. And then it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I didn't have to
So
worry about
thank you
anything.
so much for sharing with our miracle.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to worry about anything. And yes, you're welcome. I know that there's a way, there's such a better way. There's a beautiful
That
path.
is the theme, isn't it? There's a beautiful path and there's a better way. And there's also in the Course in Miracles, they talk about mighty companions. And I just have to honor Theresa and Jill. They have been my mighty companions. When I came into the group, I hadn't studied the Course in Miracles. And I just sat and watched the way these women were, the peace that they had, and the love that they radiated. And that inspired me. That inspired me for my own investigation and my own experience. So what a treat that we get to be here together and share with all of you. And big thanks to our Miracle Tribe. Yes, for coming together today and knowing that there is the possibility of finding strong friends and the support that you need in any challenge.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Jill. We know that your story will inspire others, and we're so grateful to spend this time with you today.
You are so welcome. It's such a beautiful experience.